Just what old men do on Saturday night.
I still got the beat going in my head.
Uh, uh,
All right, all right, all right. Answers by guess. What's up there, guess?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. You're right. Saturday nights have become very, very entertaining for us. Fantasy football, a number one option here.
All right. What's up, Spencer?
All right, guys. We are already up to episode 10 for this season, which is pretty awesome. Week 5, we're going to go over the Thursday night football recap as well as the Sunday preview here. Remember, always like us Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Guess, do you want to jump into the Thursday night soiree?
Yeah. So Tuesday, I said that first quarter of the season was pretty much over, and things are going to start rounding into form, and they did because Robert Woods, he's not dead. He was dropped, and there's a couple other people that we're going to talk about that are going to be playing tomorrow. They're going to be in the same exact boat as Robert Woods. People that you drafted for a reason, and you gave up on too soon because 25% of the season, the first quarter means nothing. Ask the Atlanta Falcons, 28-3 or 38-3, whatever that it was, and many other teams. First quarter means nothing. You hold on to your guys. We knew what was going to happen. I said, I think on Tuesday, sometimes I'm a week early. It's a week early. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Alex Collins wasn't big on him, didn't do much. Russell Wilson going down is a heartbreaker. It's going to hurt me. It hurts a lot of people. But we will see. Spencer, I told you to play Cousins, Spencer. Not that I foresaw Wilson getting hurt. Wilson was actually doing all right. Could have had 2 touchdowns before he got hurt. Had 1. So at least, yeah, quarterbacks have had worse weeks, so you could still be okay. But yeah, that game starts off how I think week 5 is going to go. Thought it would be slow offensive pace, and it was until like the last quarter and a half, and they sort of went back and forth. Geno Smith going in somehow put a spark on the offense, but
I think that guy on the Jets.
Yeah, I think we're going to start to see a lot of that, and we're going to see some guys bouncing back now, guys that some people might have given up on.
I hope. I had a couple guys that I've been thinking about over the last week that I'm like, I don't know. For some reason, fantasy this year for me has been kind of up and down. In my main league that I say, I feel like I'm doing pretty well, but every other league is kind of very iffy for me right now. I think obviously this is the last week before the bye weeks kick in. Hopefully, I have some bye week luck and so on and so forth. But I don't know. You're right. There's some guys that I'm looking at. I'm just like, what? How are we going to make this work, guys? We need to have a team meeting here. Let's kind of figure out something and get a game plan here, especially with bye weeks coming up. So.
Yeah, we share a team in the ABG League. We're in last place. But we have played the team that has... Yeah. We played top 3 scoring team each and every week. If we would have played anybody else, we could be 4-0. So I'm in the same boat as you. Not only because we share that team, but some of the other leagues, you're like, there's nothing you can do if you're playing a team that blows up each week. You just hope that doesn't continue. Stay the course. You drafted your guys for a reason. I don't think there's really anybody at this point that was drafted that we endorsed, at least, that you should be giving up on. In this first game we're going to talk about, there's somebody that we did not endorse.
Agreed.
That I thought might come through last week. So hopefully we're not a week too soon with him like we were with Robert Woods.
So just give guys a heads up. We are going to go through the games like we did last week and then take questions at the end. I'll continue to post them as we go along here. So jumping in, the reason we're doing the Saturday night show is because there is an early bird. We are having a London game, the New York Jets at the home team, this time the Atlanta Falcons. We called it last week. Jets offense with Crowder makes a difference. Now that they're going over the pond, How do we feel about this Jets offense? Are we okay with starting Corey Davis and Crowder? Anybody else we should be paying attention to from the wide receiver standpoint? And then Michael Carter, can he be a flex option? Again, scored a touchdown, didn't look fantastic, but he's getting the brunt of the load now. On the flip side, you weren't too high on Mike Davis. Ridley's not over there. Who's getting the ball for these guys? Is it just going to be Patterson and Pitts, the double P's here, or should we be paying attention to somebody else?
Yeah, some people dislike the London game for their own personal or a myriad of reasons. I kind of like waking up and having a game to watch right away, get the juices flowing, and then you get the full slate. It's like an extra appetizer. I always say Thursday is like the appetizer, Sunday is the main course, and Monday's dessert. But it's like you get an extra appetizer. It's like an Italian meal. I'm Sicilian myself. It's like I had the salad, and now I'm gonna have a little antipasta or something right before I get into my main meal. I like the London game, and the other reason I kind of like the London game is something we talk about every year. I feel like, not to be as conspiracy theorist as I like to tend to be, that they want the teams to score more points. So it gets a little more offensive in a good way. This one coming in, you got the Jets offense, as Rob said, that got their stuff together last week like we thought they would. And now they're going against this Atlanta team who can be beat through the air. I would call them the second or third worst, right there in the worst three secondaries, pass defense. The issue you have, I'm playing Davis. You put him in. If you got a spot for Crowder, go ahead. Try and follow up with last week. You just always kind of hope he gets through. That's pretty much it. I'm not playing Elijah Moore just yet. And obviously, you're not playing Denzel Mims. They got no tight end. The running game, the running defense for Atlanta is tough. They do have a above average. I know the stats don't show it per se, but they have an above average rush defense. They do. So with the 3 or 4 headed monster the Jets have, we're not starting Michael Carter yet. Unless you absolutely need to. Like maybe you're a Gibson owner and you're nervous, or you don't have Madison and Cook might not play, or Mixon's out and you didn't get somebody to fill his boots. Michael Carter would be the only one, but I'll leave that to the side. However, I will say that with the news of Ridley being out, makes you wonder how the game flow is going to go. Is Atlanta going to be able to move the ball? The Jets' defense is better than the Jets' name, right? People think the Jets are terrible. Their defense is not terrible. They showed last week their offense is not terrible. If Atlanta struggles to move the ball, the Jets won't have to push it through the air as much. So that means maybe Carter could do something. But I'm not going to play Carter this week. My goal with him was after the bye. I think when we drafted in our main league, Rob, somebody made the comment when I picked him. They said, oh, nice Jets running back there. I was like, I only need him in week 7. And that's when I think he would be the starter. And I think he made a case for it last week, and that'll continue. Now, the Atlanta side is what everybody's wondering about, right? Oh, yeah. No Ridley. Patterson is everybody's love child. So what are they going to do? Well, Gage also isn't playing. I didn't like him in the preseason regardless. Olamide Zaccheaus. Like, he's going to be the guy. But what's going to happen in this game is you're going to have Patterson play his real role. That's wide receiver. He's going to go into the Calvin Ridley type role. I don't see him get any or many running back snaps. They're going to use him more as a wide receiver. And the Jets aren't going into this ignoring him like some teams have done. He's going to play a bigger snap percentage. You continue to use him. Go right ahead. Pitts, of course. People are giving up on Pitts. They're going to need him as well. Maybe even move him out to the side. I believe they still have Hayden Hurst. So now you have Pitts and Patterson as your 2 wide receivers. You could use Hurst at the tight end, right? They still got him. He's not hurt or anything, is he?
No, not that I know of. I'll double
So
check.
he'll be their tight end. There's their 2 wide receivers. Zacchaeus will be their slot guy. And what's going to happen is you're going to get your week 5 guesstimator. I mentioned this guy's name on the Tuesday show. We talked about Mike Davis last week. We thought that he would score. He could even score in this one, and we'll be a week ahead again, like we talked about. But it's Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman, his first time being active this season was last week, and he rushed for like 6 yards a carry. Only got a handful of carries, like 6 yards. He's going to get Patterson's running back snaps, and he's going to take a little bit of Davis's snaps as well because he looked better. He's more agile. You might also see Mike Davis play running back and Wayne Gallman used as a receiver a little bit. I think that he is going to come through and smash as the guesstimator this week because I think you're going to get at least 5 receptions out of Gallman and a good handful of rushes. They're going to use him this week because they're going to need to use him this week. They can't be using Patterson as a running back to spell Davis. They'll use Gallman. They're down a wide receiver. They'll use Gallman. Gallman can catch the ball. He's spry. He's fresh. Only 1 game under his belt this year. So Wayne Gallman is your week 5 guesstimator. Now, are you putting him in the lineup? I'll tell you one thing. If you roster Gibson, Cook, and Mixon, like if that's your running backs, I would throw him in because you probably don't have a better option. I know a lot of people are going to go after like P. Ryan. We'll talk about him when we get to that game. And Damian Williams, which is fine. We talked about him ad nauseum on Tuesday. But Wayne Gallman is somebody that, at worst, you pluck off the waivers. And I talked about this. What you do with the guesstimator. You grab them. You stash them just in case. Especially if you're in a running back pickle.
I like it. Man. Yeah, I was kind of high on Wayne Gallman when he got traded over there. It took a little time, like you said, but he seemed to have just touched the ball and kind of just, you're right, move through the offense. It's like that change it back. Like you have the rough and tough with Mike Davis, where Gallman is giving you that other outside of the your pitching and pitching putts, pretty much. But yes, the outside of the box, man.
Brandon Jacobs, Tiki Barber, right? Thunder and Lightning,
exactly.
the OGs.
I like it, man. I like it. All right, that's your week 5 guesstimator, guys. All right, going to the next one here. Philadelphia Eagles at your Carolina Panthers. The Eagles, Hurts is number 3 in as far as fantasy. I mean, it seems like he's getting the love and stuff like that, but the Eagles offense looked absolutely horrible last week against the Cowboys. Miles Sanders isn't getting touches. A lot of people concerned about them. Talk about the run game. And then we're expecting huge things out of Rager and Smith and Quez Watkins, Goddard. Ertz is coming back. Who's getting the ball in this game against a Carolina defense who is secretly playing very well as far as from that perspective? On the flip side, you have Lamar Jackson Jr. And Sam Darnold leading the league in rushing. Is Sam Darnold a start now as far as from a quarterback perspective? CMC's out, so it looks like it's Hubbard and Freeman again. And then one of the questions I saw earlier, is Robbie Anderson done? Is he droppable now?
Well, as far as the Eagles go, it was 2 weeks ago that they didn't look good against the Cowboys, but they did look good from a fantasy perspective. Let's not forget that. There's 2 different worlds of football. There's the real world of football, and there's the fantasy world of football. And the real world of football, Jalen Hurts looked terrible against the Cowboys 2 weeks ago. But in the fantasy world, he was still good. And last week, he was good as well against the Chiefs. They were going toe-to-toe for a while. So from a fantasy perspective, Jalen Hurts and the receivers are just fine. Carolina's got a tough defense. They just got tougher getting C.J. Henderson, though. And I believe he should play this week. I mean, Dan Arnold was in So I can't see a reason that C.J. Henderson does not get in this game and help out their secondary as if they even really need it. I know Horn got hurt last week, so maybe that's where they use him in there. But I think Hurts is fine. You play Hurts. If you've been using Rager, okay, stick with them. Smith is the same. The tight ends, no need for us to waste time with them. You shoot them in there if you got them, Goddard especially. As far as the running back, that's a big question. Like I see Alan asked a question. We told you Gainwell in the beginning of the season, and he finally popped off, and now he's gaining some steam. Miles Sanders is not dead. Like I wouldn't consider it Gainwell's job. Miles Sanders is not dead. What you have going on is the Eagles aren't running the ball. And Gainwell is fresh and spicy, and he can catch the ball well. He can run the ball well. So he's just getting a little bit more burn for when they're running those types of plays. Carolina's offense has been playing well. Eagles' defense has not. So the Eagles would be smart to go into this game to try and run it early and often, control the clock, keep that Panthers offense off the field. I'm fine with playing Gainwell. And if you are stuck with Sanders, I think I'm fine with Sanders as well. You got to think the Eagles come into this game running the ball because they haven't done so, especially the past 2 weeks. It's just gotten less and less, it seems. The Panthers you brought up Robbie Anderson. I talked about him last week. I thought that it would be a Robbie Anderson game. People dump him to the wayside. I think this is another one where we were just a week early. This is the Robert Woods, Robbie Anderson, and there's at least one more coming later. It's the same type of thing. I would not be dropping Robbie Anderson. He's a fine guy to have on your bench for the bye weeks, which are starting next week. And it would not surprise me if Robbie Anderson gets a little bit of love this week. DJ Moore continues to kill it. I wasn't high on him going into the preseason. I'll admit when I was wrong. He's been killing it. But teams aren't going to continue to let him do that. They are going to begin to double him. They are going to begin to take him out of the game. And when that happens, Robbie Anderson is going to be the one that's there. Yes, Terrace Marshall. But Robbie Anderson is the guy that's been there. Robbie Anderson's the guy that's played with Darnold. Robbie Anderson just hasn't come through, but he will. And it would not surprise me if it's tomorrow. If you got to play him, I don't hate it at all against this defense at home.
All right.
As far as the running backs go, I mean, Chuba, we saw Chuba last week. I wasn't super duper on Chuba. But he, if you use him, you got one more week out of him because CMC was this close, and they're just holding him out as long as they can. They don't want to repeat last year. I think he plays next week, and Chuba goes back to less than Royce Freeman at the current state role.
Interesting. Yeah, we got to see what happens. I mean, they drafted him, but it's more for the future than anything. But getting the experience now, especially with CMC, I think Freeman, you're right. Is that change of pace back where Chuba's kind of more like the CMC type. So maybe they do like you said, thunder and lightning a little bit. All right. Next here, your Green Bay Packers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals on a long break right now as far as they were the Thursday night game last week. Higgins looks like he's coming back. Let's talk about how that affects your other wide receivers in Chase as well as Boyd. And then is Uzuma is still something we should be paying attention to with Higgins coming back. As far as defense perspective, could this be a sneaky defensive play for Cincinnati, who's been playing actually okay? They didn't look great against Jacksonville in the first half, but outstanding in the second half. As far as Green Bay Packers, I mean, they just beat up on a Steelers team that just didn't have offense, but they're rolling, man. I mean, Dylan seems to be getting a lot more love. There's a lot of Dylan questions that I've been seeing out there. Is Dylan a flex play, especially going against the Cincinnati's Bengals team, whose defense is okay? And talk about, I guess, wide receivers besides Adams.
Yeah, I don't like my Packers in this game. If I was a betting man, I would take the Bengals. I'm going to imagine they're probably 3 or 3.5 point favorites or underdogs. Not quite sure, but could be closer to a pick, but I think the Bengals win this one. I think Jair Alexander being out is a big reason why. I think that these wide receivers, the threesome that the Bengals have, is far too strong for the Green Bay secondary to keep up with the whole game. I mean, yeah, Green Bay has been rolling, but Green Bay has been rolling against the Niners, the Lions, and the Steelers, whose offenses were sputtering to a degree, and their defense was at full force. And now you're coming in, you're playing on the road against the Bengals, um, who have a great offense. Joe Burrow looks amazing. Would not be surprised if he's one of the top quarterbacks at the start of next season, fantasy and real life. So I think I would be balls to the wall with any of the three wide receivers that they have there. I think Mixon, more than likely is going to be out, and I think him being out, and even if limited, I think helps this team. For some strange reason, I feel like it causes them to be a little more balanced. And you can run on the Packers, and they'll use P. Ryan, but don't forget about the guy whose name I told you in the preseason, Chris Evans, because they'll use Chris Evans as well. If you think that you're plugging in C.J. Uzoma and that you're going to get what you got last week, I don't think that's going to happen. I wouldn't even be surprised if you see a couple other tight ends on the field, but I would not go to the C.J. Uzoma well, and I would not go into the Bobby T well either. But because the Bengals, I think, are going to score almost at will against the Packers, unfortunately for me, they might need Bobby T a little bit. So if here we go again, like you liked Bobby Hill or Bobby Tunyon, you drafted him, you liked him. This could be a chance for you to say he's stunk for me, like Guest said he would, but I'm going to keep him in because he probably will score a touchdown against the Bengals. Don't like the play, but tight end's a wasteland, and it's not really getting too much better. Oh, and while we're on the Packers, DeGuara has been playing. Jay Sternberger, remember I talked about him? He just signed with somebody. Somebody interested. It was the Saints. Does anybody know that? If you're watching, Jay Sternberger just signed. And it's somebody useful. Washington. When we get to that Washington game, they just lost Logan Thomas. Yeah, they just lost Logan Thomas. Remember that name, Jay Sternberger. I've been saying that name for 2 years. People are going to go out and get Ricky Seals-Jones. He's been in the league for 15 years, it seems like.
It's just because he has three names.
But he's only like 26, so I don't even understand. I honestly feel like I had him my first time playing fantasy football. But Jay Sternberger for that game, I don't know if it's this week, but he's eligible. And they signed him, and they need a tight end. So just keep an eye on that. But the Packers, you're playing Adams, you're playing Jones. Dillon came through a little bit last week. I'd imagine they'll use him again. Randall Cobb, don't chase it from last week, but he's back, and he's A-Rod's guy. If you need a wide receiver 3 or a flex, could be worse. Lazard is pretty much fallen to the wayside. Gives me a tier, and we don't want the ancillary. I think the Bengals win this game, and if Darko was here, he would like to hear me say that.
Yeah, big Bengals fan. All right. Next here, New England Patriots at the Houston Texans. We kind of talked about it on Tuesday, but I felt like the New England Patriots lost that game compared to Tom Brady and Tampa Bay winning that game. But we saw a decent offense. Mac Jones actually looked okay. He was looking Myers' way. Damian Harris played well. Can we see against this Houston team who's obviously not good, but is this a game where they explode? Am I starting every single Patriot I have, including an Aguilar and some of these ancillary guys like a Stevenson? On the flip side, I guess Cooks, or should we be surprised on somebody else that we are not even thinking about?
Go back a couple of weeks. What does Bill Belichick do? He attacks rookie quarterbacks. He takes out their best weapon. That's Brandon Cooks. I don't like Brandon Cooks in this game. I'm just trying to figure out who I'm playing over him in the one league that I have, Brandon Cooks. It's a full point PPR. He's been a monster, but I feel like I got to bench him. I'm just trying to figure out who it is. I'll make that decision at some point tomorrow morning. But I don't like him in this game. Houston's going to struggle. Houston's only saving grace in this game, and this is a dart throw, and this was a potential guesstimator for Week 5, David Johnson. I think it's clear that when he's on the field, they are a better offense. It's clear he is their pass catching running back. Yeah, they're going to want to control the clock, keep New England's offense off the field because their defense is terrible, but they're going to be playing catch up, and David Johnson could come through very nicely for the Texans this week. If you got space, you need a running back. He's somebody that you should probably grab. I know he's like 41 years old, but he's their pass catching guy, and he's the best one out of the three that they have. As far as the Patriots go, they also had somebody I considered for a guesstimator, but it would be cheating. And I don't like to do that. Damian Harris. If you have started Damian Harris for the past 2 weeks and you've got nothing out of him, consider what happened. Damian Harris 2 weeks ago was injured, but just played through the game, and they swapped him out a little bit. And James White also got hurt in that same game. Last week was against the Bucs. You don't run against the Bucs. Walter Payton doesn't run against the Bucs. All right? Now it's the Texans. He's going to be on benches because people are looking at last week's production. We got to stop living in the past in fantasy. It's one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of people making. I love every single one of you. But we get PMs all the time, and people are talking about, oh, I got to start this guy because he had 2 touchdowns last week. Yeah, that was last week. You can't put him in your lineup and get last week's points. You got to look ahead. You want to buy low. You want to sell high when making trades. You want to get guys in your lineup who have had a couple low weeks but have potential. Starters, guys you drafted to be a starter, guys you drafted high, guys with good positions, good roles. They've had a couple down weeks. He was injured. He played the number 1 rush defense. He's going against the Texans. They're going to run the ball. Damian Harris is going to smash the Houston Texans. He would have been the Week 5 guesstimator, but that's too easy. You know his name. You have him already. You can't pick him up. And if somebody dropped him, you need to pick him up. Because of that, I'm not feeling any of the Patriots wide receivers. They'll do fine, but they'll dig into each other. Same with the tight ends. I really think he's starting to get that chemistry I thought was going to happen. Remember, go back to Week 1 when they said Mac Jones was taking over. I said, I'm starting to like Hunter Henry a little bit more. I think that's starting to happen. If that's a tight end you got to play, go for it. Jonnu Smith, go for it, because tight end's a wasteland. But this is going to be Damian Harris. He won't be the only one. I don't think that Taylor's going to get back on the field. They'll probably keep him in the doghouse, but maybe they play Stevenson, and you see a little bit of Bolden like you've been seeing. But it's going to be run, run, run. I mean, they'll pass the ball, but they're going to run. Bill Belichick, that's going to be, he's not going to put his quarterback out there to make a mistake when they're not going to need to. The defense is too strong, and they're playing against a weak Texans team.
I like it, man. Yeah, I have to start Myers in the league just because of some injuries. I'm hoping that at least he gets the target share and being the guy that I kind of like that Deontay Johnson role. That's the way I kind of see him. I mean, they're easing in Mac Jones as far as, you know, letting him throw the ball and stuff like that. And that's where that comfort zone is. He's that Jamison Crowder type, you know, so I'm kind of hoping from a target share. May not get a lot of yards, but in a PPR, maybe worth it. All right. Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, the Titans lost to the Jets last week, missed field goal at the end, but the offense looked okay. Getting A.J. Brown back, Julio out again. Who's the ancillary guy? Obviously, A.J. Brown going to be looking his way, but you were mentioning somebody last week. You weren't high on Westbrook. Let's talk about that situation. And then obviously you're starting Derrick Henry. On the flip side, you got Jacksonville, who's played good in the first half of I feel like I'm breaking up. But
You're not.
anyways, played good in the first half of the Bengals game, and then kind of filtered off. I mean, but you did see Trevor Lawrence actually look okay. Are we comfortable starting any of their wide receivers? And is Dan Arnold finally a tight end that we can maybe rely on? They were trying to get the ball to him, just being 1 or 2 days in practice. Imagine now with 10 days of practice.
Yeah, they had a nice little package, a few routes for Arnold to run. Did it early, got him involved, made a couple nice catches. Definitely going to see him more involved. Listen, the Titans have the worst secondary in the league. Jacksonville is going to be able to throw on them. I just hope Trevor Lawrence doesn't run backwards. I hope that he worked on his check downs. I hope that he worked on his read option because he just gives it away. Like he is striking me as somebody who is coming into the league. He strikes me as somebody similar to myself. Let me tell you a story. High school, very simple. Would rarely pay attention. Didn't really have to try hard. Straight A's all the way through. It didn't matter. So I show up to college, freshman, living on my own. Got my roommate. We go out partying. I don't feel like going to school today. I didn't show up to class. I'll just show up on the test days. I'll be all right. Failed miserably. Then had to work my butt off my sophomore year to get it going. Ended with, 4.0s or whatever throughout the way through. Maybe that'll happen with Trevor Lawrence. I feel like he's coming into this league saying, high school, college, those are so simple. I could drop back, I could take my time, I could fluff my hair, and I dink and I dunk and I win. And now he's in the pros and he thinks that he can do that. And he can't. These guys are too good. They're too fast. They're too strong. And through 4 weeks, he hasn't shown that he understands that I got to prepare. I got to move a little quicker. I got to be better. I got to work harder. So I hope that he did that this week, because if he didn't, he's going to be out of the league real quick. Like, he's got to realize everything's not going to come to you, Barbie. You've got to push yourself. You've got to be who you can be, because that's what I'm seeing out of him. I'm seeing somebody who just thinks, I can just go, I'll take my time, I'll throw it to this guy. No, because by the time you do that, 4 guys are converging. They know what you're doing before you're doing it in the NFL. So against the Titans secondary, he might get away with it a little more than he did last week against the Bengals secondary. But he's got to shore that up. Chenault is somebody who obviously is going to be way more involved. We saw it last week. Marvin Jones, if you got to play him, fine. James Robinson's good. I'm playing, because I see Alan's question down there, just so you can get an idea. I'm playing Damian Harris over James Robinson, but I like James Robinson still this week because they realize they've got to use him and continue using him. As far as the Titans go, this game is very similar to the Patriots-Houston game we talked about. Titans can come into this one and just run. They can run all over. They got the run over back in football, right? So they can run all over this team. And they realize, A.J. Brown's a little banged up. Julio's still not here. We have Josh Reynolds. There you go, Sean. There you go, Rob. Josh Reynolds, one more time. And I think Ikain Westbrook is actually out. He's hurting at least.
Probably out.
So I feel like, they're going to go in this thinking, let's just run the ball and we'll throw if we have to. And they probably will have to, but Tennessee should be able to win this game, but it'll be close. But you play your big names.
All right. I like it, man. For some reason, I'm feeling a Chenault game. I think that's going to be the guy that gets it. I mean, you're right. The secondary is not good for Tennessee. I don't know. Chenault just keeps on popping in my mind for some reason.
Sure.
All right. Moving on to the next one here. Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings. Offense on Detroit, it's iffy. I mean, a lot of questions. Swift, Jamal Williams seems to be banged up. He's questionable coming into this week. Could it be a big Swift week against a Minnesota team that they didn't play very good last week against the Cleveland Browns? I don't know if it was the Cleveland Browns defense or what was going on, but I know I recommended Cousins to a bunch of people, and what a mistake that was. Were we a week early? Is this now a Cousins game, even though Dalvin Cook banged up, that we see him having to use it, especially if Dalvin Cook's out and using his arm? And are we going to get an 80% Matson again for Cook comparison?
Yeah, it was definitely Browns defense. I told everybody last Sunday, I said that this game is going to be a game with a bunch of field goals. I mean, I was wrong because it was only 14-7. There was no field goals, right? Or no, there was 2. Browns actually had 2, and then they got a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So there were 2. I thought it would be a bunch because I thought that both defenses would be able to stall the other offenses when they got close to the red zone or in the red zone. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. There was some sloppy play in between the 20s, but I just felt like Minnesota's defense matched up well against the Browns, and the Browns' defense matched up well against the Vikings. They match up well against most teams. I mean, you see how good they play against the Chiefs. I mean, if you can shut down the Chiefs good enough that you should be able to beat them 2 games in a row, you're pretty good defense. For this one, the Lions, I mean, it's Cephas, Hawkinson. I don't know if we want to play Amon-Ra at this point. We got to wait for the bye weeks for him to pop off. Swift, I'm fine with Swift. If you got to use them, and here we are again, right? 2 weeks out of the past 3, you're getting to use Madison more than likely. So, yeah, hopefully if you're a Cook owner, you got Madison, because really that's the only people that should have him, because otherwise you're just praying. Those people should have him. I mean, I'm not saying don't have him, but they should. If you're a Cook owner, you need to have Madison because it's 2 weeks out of the past 3. And like I said before, he's 80% at worst. And he was actually better than 80% that week. I thought,
it's 100% comparison.
Yeah, he was 100. So, and against the Lions, you probably are going to get close to 100% again as well. And Thielen, keep riding it. He fell down a little bit last week, but if you must, I mean, I would look for a better option. But if you've been riding it, go ahead. Hopefully it doesn't dip even further this week. Jefferson, of course, you're playing. And I don't think Osborne is somebody you really even worry about it unless you have to at this point.
I'm calling a sneaky play. My favorite tight end on the Vikings, Conklin. I think he's going to score a touchdown, and I think he will have at least 5 receptions and about 55 yards.
Yeah, I left him out there for you. I knew you liked him. He's looked good. He's looked good.
All right, going to the next game here. Denver Broncos at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Broncos should be getting Teddy Bridgewater back, but everybody's questionable, it seems like. Bridgewater's questionable, but should play. Sutton is questionable, but should play. Melvin Gordon's questionable, but should play. They've been relying on their defense. With Teddy back against this Pittsburgh D who's been playing okay, mediocre at best, can we see an offensive explosion from a Denver Broncos team? Is this a Javonte Williams game that Melvin Gordon's banged up and maybe they want to keep him more towards the end of the year and kind of keep him healthy? On the flip side, Ben Roethlisberger does not look good. Deontay's obviously his favorite target behind Najee Harris, right? Very close there as well. That's it. I mean, it seems like Claypool possibly could play this week, if I'm not mistaken. But let's talk about, is it only Deontay and Najee that you're starting? What are we doing here?
Yeah. If at all possible, first off, if you could look this up after you're done with the coffee, if you don't mind, is TJ Watt is TJ Watt back?
He was back last week, I know.
Okay, all right. He's back. He's good to go. If I could, which I can't, let's make this clear, I can't. But if I could, I would avoid this game altogether. If I could. I feel like the Steelers at home are going to be much tougher. Their defense is going to be better. And we've already just said that they've been good. They're going to be better. Teddy's coming back. He's down at least 2 weapons, possibly 3, and one of his 2 running backs is also banged up. And their defense has been great. Steelers offense has not been good, so it's not a good mixture. I mean, this game could wind up like they could score in the 40s. It'd be a freaking bonanza out there. Like, man, this dude guest was telling me to avoid this game. I benched these guys. Like, not saying that, but if I could, I would. I mean, but I can't. I can't bench Deontay. I can't. I'd rather have him in my lineup and have him get hurt and get pissed off than put him on the bench and he gets his typical double-digit receptions because it's going to happen. They're going to look for him. The Broncos will look to double him, but he gets open. He gets the short, quick passes. That's what he does. He busts loose sometimes as well. Najee, you can't bench Najee even against this tough defense. I wouldn't, but I wish I could. Right? You understand what I'm saying here? Fryermuth, I can get away from. But if I can't, you could probably put him in. Fant, you can't get away from. Put him in, especially if Sutton's not there. I think Sutton's rolled his ankle. It's got me worried. Like, if this happened on Tuesday, like, he rolled his ankle, he was practicing Wednesday. You know, it just, yeah, it's because it happened on Friday. But, man, I roll my ankle getting out of bed, and I'm okay. And I'm old. And I'm not agile like that anymore. So if I can be okay, he can be okay. He's got the world-class treatment helping him. I think Sutton should be fine. Again, if I could avoid him and put somebody else in, I would. But I can't, so I'm playing Sutton. This game has potential to be high-scoring. But it also has potential to be 13-10. And that's why I would avoid it if I could, but I probably can't. Juju, I don't want anything to do with Juju. I've had a bunch of people ask questions about should I trade this person or that person for Juju. I'm probably the wrong person to ask if you're looking for affirmation. I'm not feeling it. I haven't been all year from the jump. I just think he's third. The only thing you have going for you with Juju this week is Claypool being a little banged up. So this game, again, is either going to be in the high 30s or it's going to be the low teens. I don't really see much in between. And it'll probably be 24-21 and I'll look like a moron. But it's just the way I think it's going to go. You got two kind of sputtering offenses who have done okay against poor teams, and then you've got two really solid defenses. I would avoid if I could. You got three or four guys that you kind of have to play: Sutton, Fant, Deontay, and Najee. The rest is ancillary. I know Chad's asking the question about Javonte Williams. I don't think that this is the week. Unless Gordon's not there, I don't think against the Steelers it's the week.
Somebody to pay attention to, at least from what I was looking at. If Sutton is out, David Moore is on this team. And I know everyone's like, David Moore, think about it. At Seattle, he was always that going deep kind of guy. You would always end up with a touchdown for 77 yards and maybe another catch. If you need to take a flyer in like a DFS, and if Sutton's out, you're going to get him for literally nothing, and he could be your big play option in this game.
Good call. Yeah, good call.
All right, let's go on to the next one here. Miami Dolphins at Tampa Bay Bucks. Miami, they didn't play great last week against the Colts. I think Brissett looked okay. It was more the defense than anything, but the defense still gets turnovers somehow. But anyways, Waddle had a down game, but Parker and Gesicki both with touchdowns. Do we feel comfortable continuing to start them? And is Waddle a start? And I'm obviously avoiding the running game, it seems like, in this situation. On the flip side, Tampa, again, beat the New England Patriots, but barely. Godwin had a down day. Evans was okay. Antonio Brown seemed to be the guy. No Gronk again. How do we feel about who's getting the ball this week against the Miami Dolphins, who tend to step up against Tom Brady? I don't know if it's just they used to do it with New England all the time, and maybe it's not divisional anymore. But do we see them hitting Brady and kind of causing some mayhem with this offense?
Yeah, forget about Gaskin. And if you listened to me and avoided him in drafts, you're welcome. But this game, obviously you can't even play him if he was playing against somebody that wasn't. You couldn't even play Gaskin if they were playing against the Texans. As far as the wide receivers and tight ends go, Gesicki's getting it going with Brissett. Parker's just fine. Waddle is what he is. Will Fuller, hopefully you listened to me and avoided him. You're welcome. If so, he's on IR with a finger. Like, not even a Russell Wilson finger. I don't even know.
That was disgusting. Sandy almost threw up.
Speaking of Russell Wilson, if he went down and you need a quarterback, Tua, that's who I just picked up. Because Tua's going to come back next week, they're saying. And Tua's probably was dropped. And you could just scoop him up and just hold on to him. You might need somebody else before their buys and Seattle's buys are done, because I think Wilson's going to be out past their bye. He's not going to be back until like week 10. So Tua is someone you could pick up because he's going to get the job. They're not giving it to Brissett. It's his job when he comes back, and he should be okay. The offense was better with him. Their defense has looked okay. They're opportunistic. That's what they were last year when they came out of nowhere. But you don't get opportunistic against Tom Brady, right? He's the GOAT. He doesn't make.
Stop that.
He doesn't. I know, but he doesn't make mistakes. Like it's hard. But there is one team that in history always. I'm not talking about the New York Giants. Always gave Tom Brady fits. And that's the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, for whatever reason, would always give Mr. Brady fits. So I don't see it being too much different here, because the Bucs are pretty much the Patriots, right? Except they got a ton of weapons, and the Patriots never had a ton of weapons. Like Deion Branch was like their best wide receiver for years.
For a long time.
Right. So I'm fine with Godwin. I'm fine with Evans if you got to use them. I wish that you would have traded away Gronk after week 1. I know he had 2 touchdowns in week 2, but we can't count on too much. I thought O.J. Howard would do something last week. Cameron Brate didn't really do much. I mean, Leonard Fournette, I guess if you're using him, I don't really care for him. I'd be fine with Evans. I'd be fine with Godwin. Antonio Brown, whatever. But that's pretty much it. The 3 main guys on both teams. I think this game's going to be a good one simply for the fact that I just mentioned the Dolphins play great against Brady. And I know it's a different team and all that. But I think that the Dolphins give him some fits because they do. And although it's not the Patriots, it's still Tom Brady.
As I always say, if you rattle Tom Brady, it changes the perspective of the game. And that's what happened last week. Yeah, he gets rattled. He's not the same accurate quarterback. They make him think that he has to release the ball sooner than what he does. And if the Dolphins can get to him, that's going to change the perspective of the game. That's why I think AB was used so much last week. The speed and the separation he was able to get on that third cornerback compared to having Godwin and Evans out there. That's why he got so much love. But I'm just a Brady hater, though. So that's just, again. New Orleans Saints at the Washington football team. Saints lost last week to the Giants in overtime. Winston and Hill is controversy already. Is Kamara the only person you're starting? And am I comfortable with New Orleans? They were like a top 5 defense, it seemed like, for the first 3 weeks. And now after last week, I'm nervous about starting them against a Washington football team that Heineke has been playing pretty damn well. Gibson banged up. Obviously, I know you're not a big fan of McKissick. Do we see anybody else? I mean, is McKissick going to have to be the guy? Scary Terry. It seems like Samuel's already hurt too. He might not play. I think it's just Scary Terry, but I feel like I want to start Heineke, especially if you're in a quarterback situation. He's been looking good. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, you're not crazy. And the theme of the week is that things are rounding into form. We started off with Tuesday, right? Things are rounding into form. I didn't think the Saints defense was as good as the Saints defense used to be. It's starting to round a little bit into form. We'll see. I thought the Washington football team's defense was going to be shut down. We'll see if that starts to round into form because it hasn't yet. What better team to do it against than Jameis Winston, the turnover machine? So we'll see. However, if we want to go off of recency bias, if we want to go off of past production, if we want to go off of weeks 1 through 4, this Washington secondary is atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. If the Saints go into this game with the game plan of, okay, Jameis Winston probably is going to throw a couple interceptions. But because our defense is starting to slack a little, and because Washington has some firepower on offense, we got to push the ball downfield a little bit. And you saw them push it down a little bit more last week than they have at all the first 3 weeks. And they were looking to Callaway. They even looked to Harris down the field. So I think that trend continues. I think that we probably see Troutman and Juwan Johnson on the field at the same time. Because this Washington offense, like Rob said, Heineke's looked great. He's looked how we pretty much thought he was. He's got wheels. He's got a pretty good arm. He's accurate. He's got Terry McLaurin. Doesn't have Logan Thomas this week. Ricky Seals-Jones was filling in for him. We talked Jay Sternberger probably will be active, I would imagine. If he's not active this week, I think he definitely will be that next week. But I think he will be active. So Washington's got some firepower. The Saints are going to have to push the ball downfield. So I think Marquez Callaway, I'm thinking he could continue to build every week, but just a little bit more. I think we might see Marquez Callaway catch a real touchdown this week. All right? He's got that weird rainbow thing last week. I think that Marquez Callaway is going to have a pretty good game. He probably was dropped. Now, if he doesn't, everybody that still has him on their team, talking to myself included, if Marquez Callaway does not have a good game, drop him. They have a bye next week. You don't need him anymore. Drop him. Michael Thomas will be back soon. Michael Thomas will help everybody out, including him. But if Callaway can't beat this secondary the way they've been playing in a game where the Saints are going to need to throw the ball to keep up, I think, with Washington, you can get rid of Callaway. But I think that he's going to have a pretty decent game here. I'll say 80 yards and a touchdown. It might only be 4 receptions, but similar to last week with a touchdown. As far as Washington goes, if Gibson's out, maybe they use Patterson. Right? We haven't really seen him.
You haven't seen him at all, man.
No. So, but I think Gibson will play. He's been playing through this shin thing all year, he's pretty much said, or at least for weeks. So I think it'll be all right. Chad, I don't know if you would drop him in the 32-team league.
I wouldn't.
You hold on to him. 14 team is probably the maximum. I'd probably still hold him in the 16. 32, you want to hold him.
All right, let's go into the next game here. Chicago Bears at the Las Vegas Raiders. Chicago, Justin Fields was named the starter. Nagy went totally against Andy Dalton's my starter. He's my starter once he's off injury. I guess, did he see last week against this Lions team that doesn't have a good defense? It's like, you know what? That guy, Justin Fields, is actually pretty good. Obviously, Mountie out. That's huge for everybody. Damian Williams, talk of the week. You've talked about him on Tuesday as well. Let's discuss that. And is this an A-Rob game? Is he your third guy that we've been kind of waiting on? And hopefully I'm not jumping the gun here and taking it away from you, but it sounds like he could possibly be that one. On the flip side, Las Vegas Raiders did not look good against the Chargers. Derek Carr is kind of in his head. I don't know. It seems like once he starts getting hit, he's a different quarterback, a very Tom Brady syndrome. But are we worried about this? I mean, Waller saw a lot of targets. Edwards saw okay. A lot of Renfro questions. Am I starting Renfro? and Josh Jacobs took over for Peyton Barber. Is that going to continue?
Allen Robinson is absolutely my other guy. He would have been the guesstimator, but that's too easy. Because you know about him. People roster him. You can't just pluck him. And I'm not going to give you a guesstimator that's a name. I'm going to give you a guesstimator that you might know the name, but he's probably out there and you could scoop him. Allen Robinson, if you own Allen Robinson, you're not starting him this week. You are doing yourself a disservice. You are making a mistake. You are making a mistake. The Raiders secondary is banged up. They're out players. The Raiders showed who they are last week. I talked about it before the game last week. I said the Raiders remind me a lot of the Pittsburgh Steelers of 2020. They're undefeated. They're winning games, but they really shouldn't be. They showed that last week. Yeah, they played against a tough Charger team. Yeah, they were on the road. Yeah, they had the delay before the game. But that's who the Raiders are. That's who they are. They do this pretty much every year as well. They are the 2020 Raiders. They start off hot and they fizzle. Now their secondary's banged up. They're going against Justin Fields and his number one favorite target, Mooney, and A-Rob, who has stunk the bed, right?
Yeah.
A-Rob this week, you get him in your lineup because the Raiders still will move the ball. The Raiders have fine running backs. They got no problem using Jacobs in this one. They got a bunch of good wide receivers. They got who I think, aside from Kelsey, is the best tight end in football, and Waller. They will be able to move the ball. They'll be at home. It'll be loud. It'll be exciting. The Bears will keep pace, and they will do it with their wide receivers and Fields' legs because Montgomery's not there. Yeah, Damian Williams is serviceable. We talked about Khalil Herbert on Tuesday as somebody who I think is going to, because it wasn't always Montgomery 100% of the times. Williams was flashing in there. So now it's like a conveyor belt. Wilson moves to Montgomery, Khalil Herbert becomes Williams, right? So they're still going to use him, but they're going to push the ball. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Secondary's banged up. A-Rob's done nothing. Ebbs and flows. We are rounding into form, boys and girls. Allen Robinson must be in your lineup this week. Please. And he's probably super cheap. Cheaper than he should be in DFS. You put him in there. You put him in. Put him in.
I honestly think I'm going to start A-Rob and Robbie Anderson in a DFS this week just because might as well.
Like this, that's how you win.
Yeah, you got to go outside the box.
You don't win taking the people that did good last week. Like, yes, people have 2 good weeks in a row. Yes, the studs and the Cordarrelle Pattersons, who nobody's guarding, who play 33% of the snaps and catch 3 touchdowns on 6 targets. Like, yeah, they'll help you win. But you win playing the guys that nobody else is playing. And nobody else, Public Joe Public, is not playing the guys who have stunk. I mean, you're throwing $10 out there. You throw $10. I got this. Robbie Anderson, Allen Robinson. Nothing wrong with that, Rob.
I'm feeling it, man. And there's a couple guys that I'm just like, they're cheap, and I'm just like, why are you guys so cheap? Like an A-Rob, you're right. I mean, if you can get a wide receiver 1A, 1B with him and Mooney, with a new quarterback coming in, and he's like, listen, guys, I need to look good, so I'm going to try to make you guys look good. I'm going to throw the ball up. A-Rob, the best thing you've done for me, just go up and get it. If you're one-on-one, I'm throwing you the ball, and I hope Nagy realizes that's what he can do with A-Rob on the field.
I tried to trade for Allen Robinson in just about every league I could this week, and nobody would give him up. Maybe I wasn't offering enough. Maybe I was being too stingy, too cheap. But I tried.
Buy low, right? Like you said, buy low.
I tried. It's coming. It's coming. The Raiders, it just lines up. The stars are aligning. The Raiders secondary's bad to begin with, and now they're banged up. If it doesn't happen, we'll quit. How about that? You want us to quit? We'll quit. If you put Allen Robinson in your lineup and he's a dud, we'll quit. We'll do it. We won't do this anymore, Rob. Sorry. I didn't mean we had to stop now.
I'm losing everybody. My internet's acting up.
Oh.
I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I can hear you. I thought he thought that I wanted to quit now. No. Come on, next game.
Next game. All right, perfect. I heard that. All right. Cleveland Browns at your Los Angeles Chargers. Dude, I honestly think this is going to be either a really high-scoring game or a really low-scoring game. I don't feel like it's going to be in the middle. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns again against the Vikings team who, you're right, they stepped up to both defenses. They didn't – I don't know. Baker just missed them. You had a call last week. Odell's going to have – yeah, I mean, it just missed them, though. And that's what I was talking about. That relationship just isn't right, in my opinion. I just don't feel like they have that connection. They've never had that connection. And it was kind of obvious last week that Odell's thinking one thing, he's slowing up, saying he's going to give me the basket catch and I'm going to be able to run it off, where Baker's like, keep on running. Why are you stopping? Like, it doesn't – that connection's there. Do we actually see them having to work together this week? And are we okay with starting OBJ? Obviously, you're starting Hunt and you're starting Chubb. Anybody else you should be paying attention to on this Browns team? On the flip side, Los Angeles Chargers look great against the Raiders. You mentioned they're banged up. It's all systems go. I mean, Eckler was outstanding last week. Can we ride that high? I know you're not high on Eckler, but can we ride the high?
Yeah, I think you're dead on. It could be really low scoring. And both offenses are good enough. It could be high scoring, similar to sort of what I said with the Broncos and the Steelers. Listen, the Chargers defense is good. They are playing as well as I feel like they should have played last year. They're even better. They showed it last week. Granted, it's against the Raiders, and just talked about how I felt like the Raiders were a little overrated. But the Browns offense has struggled just enough to say that the Chargers defense should be able to do really, really well enough to slow them down, to stomp them out. The problem here is exactly as Rob detailed, the missed connections between Odell and Baker. And Baker's got the non-throwing shoulder is injured. We saw that happen week 1 or week 2, whatever that was. And it's just not right. And I got to imagine it hurts a little bit when we try and fire through. Because of that, and because they don't have Jarvis Landry over the middle, I'm confused at why he's gotten 2 receptions each week. Why aren't they using Demetric Felton more over the middle in that Jarvis Landry role? That's where he needs to be. Now, granted, 2 weeks ago when he was the guesstimator, he missed him on the first play, would have been a touchdown. It would have been like, oh, my God, the guesstimator hit again on the first drive. Like nothing. But they got to keep going to that well. They are better with Jarvis Landry. They don't have Landry, but they have Felton who could be Landry. This is the only way that they'll be able to keep their offense going this week. I know we talk about Higgins, we talk about Schwartz, we talk about Peoples-Jones, but you can't play those guys in fantasy. Those guys are just guys that are just going to keep this offense going so that the guys we do play, Odell and the running backs, can do what they need to do. So I think if Felton is used more in this game, their offense will be able to keep pace with whatever the Chargers can get done. Chargers got 3 great players, right? They got Allen, they got Williams, they got Eckler. They'll use all the other backs, in a rotation like they did last week. Eckler's feeling much better than he did heading into that game last week. They'll use the ancillary wide receivers, and they got their 2 tight ends. Parham, who's 6'8", monster. We talked about in the preseason. Rob called. He would score a touchdown last week. He probably could get another one this one. You can't cover that.
Red zone, they love him.
And Cook has been doing his thing. We talked about him in the preseason as well. So, hey, they lost Henry, but Cook has been doing his thing in New Orleans for years, and he's still the same dude. On Tennessee before that. So tight end, if you got to play him, Cook, fine with it. I would stay away from the Browns tight ends, but they have to use them more. The problem with them is they got 3 of them. They're all good. They cancel each other out. It's even worse than the New England situation. So we need those guys to do something because they haven't really. And because they haven't really, Odell hasn't been able to do too much. And like, I think Williams could bounce back. Hopefully he does. But I think you play your big names, the 3 on each side, and you just hope. Because as Rob started off this game saying, this could be really low scoring or it could be really high scoring. It's going to be really low scoring if these extra guys don't come through. If they don't use Felton enough, if they don't use their tight ends enough, if the Chargers don't figure out a way to get their extra pieces involved, this game's going to be low scoring, and it's going to hurt you in fantasy. If those guys get going, then the big names should be able to come through when it counts.
I like it, man. I like it. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'm okay with starting by like a DFS. I may pick up a Parham just because, again, from a touchdown perspective, I think he has 1 reception a game, but I think it seems to be a touchdown every time. Or if they're looking for him within the 10, if they're within 10 yards, if Eckler doesn't run it in on the first try, Parham's getting the ball, I feel like.
Yeah. And I was just going to say that analysis doesn't help you by me with fantasy because really, like, there's nothing you can do. I mean, really, in fantasy, there's nothing you can do anyways, but really, how good the big guys do depends on the little guys in this game. I think more than any other game, maybe that I really ever figured when I looked at a matchup and started really looking at it. Like the little guys are what's going to determine what the big guys do in this one.
All right. Going on to the next one here. San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. This game to me is the game of the week, but I really think it's going to be a low scoring game and fantasy value is going to be tough here. Eli Mitchell should be back for the 49ers. A lot of Trey Sermon questions with Eli Mitchell coming back. Let's talk about that situation. Deebo Samuel's leading the league right now in receiving. What? Obviously, you're starting him, but can we feel comfortable starting Ayuk and Kittle going to IR? Seems like he hasn't been right the entire season. Maybe this is the break that he needs to be able to come back healthy. Is Dwelly picking up? On the flip side, Hopkins hasn't been playing that great, man. They've been going to everybody else, it seems like. I mean, he's on the field. He's been hurt. I know, banged up and stuff like that. Can we trust starting Hopkins? I mean, you have to, right? You have to. On the flip side, somebody called Max Williams last week, and I think we gave him a shout-out and everything. Max Williams, he's a little banged up, but is he a tight end start that we're looking at? Connors, I mean, he seems to be getting the ball at the red zone, man. Are we starting Connors yet or no?
Yeah, well, this game, if you go back, I'm sure Google, they have everything. You could say 49ers versus Cardinals matchup history. I mean, it's always a 3-point game. This game is going to be 31-28, 33-30, 27-24, no less than that. It's going to be a 3-point game. I would not even be surprised if the 49ers win this and there's no more undefeated teams. I know the Cardinals have been doing their thing. And nobody loved Kyler much more than me going in the preseason. I'm sure a lot of people did. But he was like who I wanted in every league. I ended up getting him in 3 or 4 of them. The one league, my most important league, I didn't. I got Russell Wilson, so now that sucks. But Kyler's been killing it. And you mentioned Hopkins. The other guy's been coming through, and he's banged up. He's the number 1 wide receiver on their team, if not the league. People know that. It's no secret. But he's been banged up. But they're going to need him in this one because I think the 49er offense, Trey Lance, right, getting his first start.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big one.
And the Cardinals defense, they were our underdog for defense, but I think the Niners offense gets an extra kick this week. Debo's been killing it. Wouldn't be surprised if Ayuk does something. No Kittle. I'm not playing Dwelly, but he'll do something. You know he's going to do something. He always seems to do something with Kittle not in there. They'll probably use check, but you're not using use check. And I think Mitchell coming back is the biggest story. I think it's bigger for fantasy purposes than Trey Lance. Because the people that love Trey Lance already have Trey Lance on their team. A couple of them in here. I know Darko really loves him. I know Steven Bikert really loves him. They loved him in the preseason. They've been waiting for this moment. Niners fans must be excited as well. But I really think Elijah Mitchell coming back is the biggest story because we are going to see how they use Mitchell and Sermon when both are active, when both are healthy. This is huge for fantasy, boys and girls. We are going to see how they use them. I think that Mitchell will regain the number one role, but I feel like early on it's going to be Sermon 1-2, Mitchell 3. The only reason I'm saying that is because when the preseason began, before week 1, I came on the show. Rob was sitting next to me. I said, Eli Mitchell's a name you need to know. This is before anybody even knew Trey Sermon was inactive in that game. This was early in the morning. So Eli Mitchell's a name you need to know. He's going to be the third down back for Mostert. So I'm going to stick to my guns there. If you have Mitchell and you don't have another serviceable option, I got no problem playing Mitchell in this one. I think he's itching to get back into it and show what he can do.
I have him in 3 leagues, I want to say, and I kind of want to start him, but I'm not going to take out Swift or Najee in the most important league, but I feel like Eli Mitchell could play a big role in this one. Like, I feel you're right, but I think it's the opposite. I think he's going to be the 1-2, and then Sermon's going to be that third down back, even though Eli Mitchell fills that role. Just the way Shanahan talks about him as a 3-down back, I think it might be the opposite. So I'm going to write that down. We'll take a look at what it looks like tomorrow and kind of go from there.
As far as the Cardinals wide receivers go, I mean, it's a crapshoot. Rondale Moore believers. Listen, I honestly feel like as long as A.J. Green is healthy, A.J. Green's going to get fed, unfortunately. So it's going to be Kirk and A.J. Green on top of Hopkins, more than Rondale Moore. But who knows? Maybe they do the ebb and flow on us here. Rondale Moore is a big game in this one, but I'm not playing him this week. We'll see if that bites me.
Sneaky play, I feel like, for the 49ers, Mohamed Sanu. I know he's old and stuff like that. Think about it. Trey Lance, his second string back. Who's your wide receiver 1? Probably the third guy. Mohamed Sanu's the third guy on the team. Something to pay attention to.
Yep.
All right. Wow, these afternoon games are pretty damn good. New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. Giants showed up last week. We just mentioned it. Saints lost to them. Barkley looked good. Galladay looked good. Vanilla Vic played well. It's like this team has so much potential. You called them actually winning the NFC East. This is a big showdown for them to be able to take that step to be able to get that division game. Do we feel comfortable starting everybody? It seems like Slayton should be back, but Shepard's still out. Evan Ingram, is he worth a shot? On the flip side, everyone's a little worried about CeeDee Lamb. Is this a CeeDee Lamb game, or is it still just your main guys and Amari Cooper? Zeke banged up. Do we start Tony Pollard?
I think using Pollard as you normally would. I think Zeke's going to be more than just fine. Not worried about Zeke at all. We'll see if that changes tomorrow morning. Maybe that'll be like one of the updates, but I'm not worried about Zeke at all. If you've been using CD, this is a game for you. If you've been using Cooper, this is a game for you. If you were somebody that picked up Schultz this week or Jarwin because you're really dying at tight end, go for it. I think when Gallup comes back in a couple weeks, the tight ends are sort of going to go a little bit to the wayside, so maybe they can have another big one, and you trade them off for somebody that's not sharing time and a little more consistent. As far as the Giants go, Kadarius Toney is my favorite play. We talked about him last week in the pregame. He was their top dog aside from Galladay. Yeah, Slayton's coming back, but Slayton really hasn't done too much. He is what he is. He's the deep downfield guy. They kind of also have that in Galladay now, but they also have Galladay being a possession type guy. So I think Galladay's the biggest beneficiary, and we've seen that with Shepard being out. But I think Toney is somebody that if he's still on the waiver wires, you want to pick him up. This game's going to be a close one as well. I actually had a buddy of mine that I work with, big Cowboys fan, and he knows that I do this. And before we even started doing this, I've had this job for 15 years. He was one of the first persons I met, subbed in his room before I had my own classroom. We got talking about sports, so he knows. And he came up to me and said, listen, he's like, are my Cowboys going to beat the Giants? Because he'll ask me questions because sometimes I pull stuff out of my butt and I'm right, which is the reason that you're watching this right now, because it's what I do. I use what I know and I use my feelings to come up with a guess, to come up with my prediction of what I think is going to go. And I said, I think the Cowboys are going to win, but it's going to be really close and you're going to be afraid. So I think it's going to be back and forth, back and forth. This could be like a 31-30, like a Greg Zuerlein field goal to win it type thing. So I want pieces of this game. I want Barkley in my lineup. I want Pollard if I've been using him. I want Zeke. I want Evan Ingram if I'm sucking at tight end. I'll use those Dallas tight ends. I want pieces of this game. The quarterbacks. This is offensive football at its best, NFC East style. These two teams always play a game like that, and that's what we're going to see.
One quick thing, the Giants, I think you're right, is the offense is going to click. I mean, this is Jason Garrett going against the Cowboys. He's going to be angry. I think we're going to see some trick plays, to be honest with you. I feel like a Kadarius Toney may get a rush for a bunch of yards and kind of doing one of those sweep arounds or a Slayton kind of thing. Slayton reminds me of like a Robbie Anderson type. Like you're going to get boom or bust. It's either going to be a 75-yard touchdown or nothing, almost in a way. So just caution to the wind there. All right, Buffalo Bills at Kansas City Chiefs. Buffalo destroyed Houston, as you said they would. Everybody kind of knew that was going to be happening to a certain degree. We didn't know how bad, but it was pretty damn bad. Knox with a touchdown. Manny Sanders looked good again. Diggs looked – everybody. But let's talk about going against this Kansas City Chiefs team. Are we comfortable starting Singletary and Moss? Are we comfortable starting the wide receivers in Buffalo? On the flip side, I was a week off. Kansas City played the Eagles last week. It was a good game. Tyreek Hill exploded. Obviously, temper expectations. He's not going to have 3 touchdowns and 180 yards. But against this Buffalo team, they're going to need everything and anything, I think, on this Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it's not do or die, but this is a rematch from last year that everybody wants to see. Is this going to be a high-scoring affair, or should, again, we temper expectations?
This is going to be a Travis Kelce game, for sure. He was gone last week. The Bills won't let Tyreek do what he did. Travis Kelce owners rejoice. He's back. Fear not. The one struggle that CEH owners are going to have in this one is tough to run against the Bills, and the Bills have enough offensive firepower to make the Chiefs not allow themselves to become too conservative running the football. I'm not even sure if he's on the roster anymore, but Jerick McKinnon, I wouldn't be surprised if he's healthy that he gets a little bit of burn in this one. Some type of shifty, speedy running back like that, they've got to have one on their roster. We know they have Darrell Williams, but I believe that they have Jerick McKinnon still. Is that correct? they're going to use an extra little piece like that with this team. I see Andy Reid coming with something like that this week, so would not be surprised. So it's not good for the CEH owners. I've pumped up CEH over the past 2 weeks. He's come through in both of them. He'd be somebody who, although we love the Sunday night magic, if I have a better option, I'm fine benching CEH. You're not benching Tyreek Hill, but this is a Kelsey game. Hardman and Robinson, and then maybe even Mr. Gordon gets in the game. Mr. Gordon might be active. So if you were somebody who plucked him off name value and you're hoping and praying and lighting one up, he might be the one, right? He could come through with a few plays this week as well. The Bills, everybody loves Manny Sanders. All right, 2 weeks in a row being involved. I told him to sit down. They're going to have to – this is offensive both ways. Two pretty good defenses. I think the Bills have a better defense, but they're on the road. So Manny Sanders will probably be used. Would I use him in fantasy? No. But if you have been, you might be okay. You're at least going to have volume. Dawson Knox been coming through exactly as advertised, like we talked about in the preseason with him. Can he keep the touchdown streak going? That's all he does. I mean, the last 6 games of last year, he would catch like 3 balls and one would be a touchdown. But now he's getting more receptions. So now, like, I'm seeing a lot of people, like a lot of the experts in fantasy jumping on the Dawson Knox bandwagon, talking him up to tight end 1 territory, talking him up to like top 5. I don't know if it's that far, but he's trending that way. We liked him going into the season for that manner. Gabe Davis hasn't done much. Beasley, not even sure. Has Beasley been hurt? They're going to need all hands on deck. I think it's just going to be a little too spread out. If it's not Diggs, and it's not Hill, and it's not Knox, and it's not Kelsey, you play only if you must because it's Sunday night and you got the magic. Otherwise, it's just really the big 4 for me in this one.
Gabe Davis not hurt, just Manny Sanders has kind of taken over his role. It seems like he's had
Beasley.
a couple. I think maybe 1. I'm sorry, say again?
I was asking about Beasley. It's like, where have you been?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Gabe Davis. My bad.
No, it's like Dawson Knox has taken Beasley's stuff away. It's like when he used to look for Beasley, he's now looking for Knox.
Good call. All right, Monday Night Football, Indianapolis Colts at the Baltimore Ravens. Colts beat up on a Miami defense last week. I don't know. This team, I don't know what to think about it. Jonathan Taylor, obviously, you're starting. Are we starting Hines in a flex position? Talk about the wide receiver situation. On the flip side, Baltimore beat up on, I don't remember who it was last week, but they won by a lot. The Broncos. The Broncos had struggles as far as from an offensive perspective. But Andrews seems to be the go-to again. Hollywood hasn't really been the go-to again. I mean, Hollywood's been doing well. A lot of Hollywood questions. Is he every week starter now? I think he's getting to that territory almost in a way. And then talk about the running situation. Tyson Williams doesn't seem to be there anymore. The Murray show going forward. Are we scooping Murray?
Yeah, I scooped Murray last week just based off the fact, I think it was before the game, just before the game, because I had a feeling, and it came true, that Tyson Williams was falling out of favor. Like Thursday rolls around, and I wake up and getting ready for work, and I start thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I'm starting to get this feeling, this little tingle in my neck. I got a feeling Tyson Williams is not done. I got this weird feeling. I feel like Tyson Williams, they want to see what they had out of the old men. And I don't think Le'Veon Bell showed too much. Didn't show too well. I'm surprised Le'Veon Bell didn't get cut, honestly. So if you are watching this now and you've got a spot and somebody dropped Tyson Williams, he might show back up in this game. I've got a feeling. Like, Latavius Murray's the number one. Well, we know what Latavius is. We scooped him because we need running back help in the ABG league. He's their number one, but I don't think Tyson Williams is done. I think what we might see is exactly kind of what we thought we'd see. The Gus Edwards, the J.K. Dobbins type of thing. You're going to have the pounder, the plotter, if you will, in Murray. And I think Williams is going to come back and show well. I think that 1 week of him was sort of a little bit, not really, I don't think that they were punishing him, but it's like, sit back and just watch. Just watch the game. You were thrown into the fire out of nowhere. You had no clue you were going to be the running back. All of our running backs got hurt. Sit back and watch. Watch what we do. And then you come back next week, we'll get you back on the field. Feel like that's coming with Tyson. We'll see if that comes true. Hollywood, use them. Why not? And this team needs to get Rashad Bateman. They need to get that big, strong Des Bryant type body out there because that's what he is. That's what he brings to the table. I don't know if he's going to be active. They could activate him. So let's watch out Rashad Bateman. He's somebody else. They have like a plethora of wide receivers at this point. This team never has wide receivers. They got so many now because they got Watkins. They got James Proche. They got Duvernay. They got Gaskin. Or not Gaskin. What's his name? Boykin.
Correct.
Right? And they got Tylan Wallace, who they've yet to have really active, but not getting burned. So they got a ton. Bateman needs to come in because they got a ton of guys. Bateman is not a guy. He's a dude. And when they get him in, that's going to help Brown even more. But I don't know if he's playing this week because it's Monday night. So you go ahead with Brown. You go ahead with Andrews. For the Colts, you go ahead with Pittman. I'm not scared off by this Ravens defense. They're going to need him. Pascal, Jonathan Taylor. You play your guys in this one. You get the Monday Night Magic. You don't need the home run guesstimator type thing yet. But after tonight, after this show, after this week, after Monday, you do. Because buys begin. Be a week ahead. Start thinking about them now.
I like it. All right. Something from the Ravens that I saw that was interesting. Obviously, we know that Lamar Jackson likes to jump and throw. Once he's in that kind of a mode, I think that's where Tyson Williams can help him. If he needs an out, they were going against the Denver Broncos team, whose the defense is pretty much top 3 in the league right now. They didn't want the kid to go, like you said, and not be successful. I think you're right. I think it's which old men are we keeping? Is it going to be Freeman as the backup and Le'Veon Bell and Murray? We were, like you said, is already the number one. I like your gut feeling that you're going with there. You're right. Be a week ahead. This could be it, especially with bye weeks coming up. Running backs are gold. Why not take a chance?
Uh-huh.
All right, we're up to the questions now, guys. I'm going to.
Thanks for sticking with us. That was an hour and a half long-winded. Sometimes somebody's just got to tell me to be quiet.
We will not. You're giving out fantastic advice. Answers by guest guys. All right, Spencer. I'd like to add Elijah Moore to my question. Start 2 wide receivers: Elijah Moore, Rondell Moore, Pittman, A-Rob, and Myers.
Allen Robinson, and I know Rob will say Myers, but I'm going to say Pittman. So you go with your gut there. You leave the Moores on the bench.
I probably would go Pittman in this situation as well.
Okay.
Monday Night Magic. Boomski. What's up? All right, Dawn with the question: Moss or Harris in the flex?
You have to play Damian Harris, Dawn. You have to. He's going to murder souls. Murder souls.
Your soul is mine.
Yeah, that's it.
I cried and started Wilson over Cousins like a moron. FML.
It's okay.
It's all right, man. Don't worry. We're gonna make sure the rest of your team clicks, man.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn with another question: Darnold, Tannehill, or Lance?
I like the Lance play, but I probably will go with Darnold. Sam Darnold. Just in case.
Yeah, I'm going with Lamar Jackson. All right, Michael, see with the question. I need two, one at wide receiver and one at flex between OBJ, Fournette, and Emmanuel Sanders. I know you're not a big fan of Sanders, but my QB is Allen, and I think the Bills score early and often this week.
So you go with your gut, and you play Sanders, and you play OBJ. Just because
I think Rojo is going to get some more love this week, man, to be honest with you.
He's out of the doghouse a little.
And you don't know what's going on with Bernard. I mean, he's questionable. It seems like he has a possibility of coming back, but if he's out again, Rojo's that guy. Oops. Antonio with the question. Sanders, Green, or Galladay? Need two PPR.
Well, definitely Galladay. And I'm guessing that's Emmanuel and AJ. Two old men. I want them both to sit down. I want them both to sit down. Go with your gut, Antonio. Hopefully you're watching. Definitely Galladay, and then flip a coin. Maybe Rob can help you out, AJ Green or Emmanuel Sanders. I guess I would go AJ Green just because, but Galladay and flip a coin, honestly.
I'm going to go Manny Sanders just because of the Sunday night and the hope that he gets some love.
There you go.
Am I still here?
Yes, you're here. But
All
you're
right.
fading.
Sorry, Antonio with another one. McLaurin, Adams, Lamb, or Pittman need two PPR.
McLaurin and Adams. That's easy.
Yeah, I don't think you have to go with those.
You have to. Number
Jeremy,
one. You're here.
Sorry,
here.
guys. My internet's not working. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. I have Russell and Monty in ABG League. Yike. I know. I'm trying, man. It just keeps on going in and out of me. Don't you say that, Spencer. You're not an asshole, man. All right. Alan K, Pittman, Waddle, Moody. I'm assuming that's Mooney. AJ Green, Corey Davis. Pick two, PPR.
I'm going to go with Mooney and Davis. If I were to swap out Mooney, it would be with Pittman. But I'm going to go with Mooney and Davis.
I like that.
I think the
Josh
Bears
with a question. Flex help.
heavy.
James Robinson. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was talking over you. You tell
flex
me
help.
to be
James
quiet.
Robinson or Justin Jefferson. No, never.
Justin Jefferson.
All right. That's the same question. Josh with another one. Okay.
Jeez, is this two different leagues? I don't know how you say either one of those. I think Rob disappeared. I can go through this list because I have it here in front of me. So, Josh, if you're still there, if anybody's there, tell me. I'm here. I can see the list. I just can't put them on the screen like he can. So I'm at number 8. So it's Josh S., Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore. Why can you not play both? DJ Moore's game possibly a little more competitive, but I will go with Justin Jefferson. Hey, whoa, are you there?
I think so.
Yeah, you're here. So I'm still on number 8. I was saying let's Justin Jefferson. Let's go to number 9. You with me?
I'm trying.
You're here.
Robbie Anderson, time to drop. That was what I was mentioning before.
No, we talked about that. No, it's not. You play him. You play him because he's going to have a week this week. And the question's up above my head, but that's okay. Below my head. No, it's not time to drop Robbie Anderson. Sooner or later, and it starts this week, defenses are going to start making sure that DJ Moore is not wide open all the time. You're not dropping Robbie Anderson, using him this week. Next question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Beautiful.
We're at pick a wide receiver. We're at pick a Jeremy's question. Pick a wide receiver and a flex.
I lost almost every single comment, probably, dude.
Okay, so here's pick a wide receiver and a flex. Pittman, Hollywood, Boyd, Mooney, Gainwell, Rojo. I'm gonna go with. It's tough because I don't know if Bateman's going to play and if that's going to help or hurt. I will go Boyd and Mooney. Jeremy, do you think Patterson and Pitts go off tomorrow with the other weapons out? I think that they're both used as the top two wide receivers, Sean. And I think that the Jets defense is good enough, but I think that they go off to the level that they have been. I think Patterson comes down a little and Pitts goes up. People have been disappointed in Pitts. People have been ecstatic with Patterson. Patterson's going to drop a little. Pitts is going to go up. But Patterson's not going to drop a ton because he's going to play way more snaps than he did. He's only played about 30% of snaps each week. He just keeps being productive. So his won't drop off too much. Matt P, number 10. Here we go.
I don't know. My shit's not working. Excuse my language. In case Seeker and Sutton are out, who to start? Ayuk, Boyd, Carter, Madison, Samuel, or Javonte Williams?
Well, I think Zeke is going to be fine. But if Cook is out, you put Madison in and you sleep and you don't even watch the game, you'll be fine. And I would use Boyd over Sutton if Sutton's out.
All right. Is there another question in between, or can I go to number 11?
11.
All right. Would you make any changes to this lineup? Starting Herbert, Chubb, Harris, Adams, Chase, Knox, and Flex McLaurin. Bench A-Rob, Mike Davis, Drake, Mooney, Damian Williams, and Gainwell.
Yes. I would play. Yeah, this is so tough. I would play A-Rob over Chase. But we know Chase is going to score a touchdown, but I think A-Rob's going to go off. I mean, you go with your gut there, but I would have A-Rob. I'd have Adams, A-Rob, and McLaurin. And T. Higgins coming back, I think, hurts Chase more than it hurts Boyd this week. I think they'll all do okay. But Chase's, I think it goes down a little bit with Higgins there. I don't think Boyd does. Boyd is their possession guy. So I would play A-Rob over Chase. But you go with your gut there, Alan. Can you hear me, Rob? Yeah,
Would
number
you
12.
make any changes to this lineup? Starting Kyler, Aaron Jones, Damian Williams, Tyler, who played already, Higgins, Kelsey, Flex Patrick, Sutton, Beasley, Dillon, Gainwell, Samaji, and Herbert on the bench. Also has Josh Gordon. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think you got the right guys in. Who's Tyler?
Tyler Lockett played already.
Oh, I was thinking Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler PJs. Steven Tyler PJs.
Yeah, no, I think you're good.
All right. Next one, his another lineup. Stafford, who played already. Singletary, Samaje, Woods, who played already. Lockett, who played already. Kelsey, Flex Mike Williams. Colts, the bench is Shenault, Waddle, Mooney, David Johnson, Crowder, and Sermon. So I'll give you the lineup again.
I don't love the Samaje because I don't know. They're still thinking that Mixon might play, and I feel like they're going to use a ton of Chris Evans. I mean, Sermon over Samaje wouldn't be terrible in my mind. And I think David Johnson's going to get a ton of burn. But the only way that happens is if the coach is smart, and they have shown to not really be that smart, so we can't trust it. So I would do Sermon over Samaje because I don't think Samaje is going to have a mix-in role. He's not going to be workhorse. I think it's going to be closer to a 50-50 split with Evans.
All right, next lineup here. Kyler, Derrick Henry, Samaje, Scary Terry, AJ Green, Higbee, who played already, DJ Moore, Colts defense, Harris, Beasley, Mooney, Rager, Michael Carter, Parker, and Goddard on his bench.
Yes, Harris over Samaje. I would do Mooney over AJ Green. And I would have played Goddard over Higbee, but I already told you that. Next. We got a lot of big
Michael B
lineup
with the
questions.
question. Yeah, do I pull the trigger, trade away Barkley and Kelsey for Aaron Jones, Kittle, and Hunt? I'm lacking at running back and also have Kyle Pitt in 4 and starting Russell Wilson. I'm sorry, starting Russell Wilson, who played Thielen, and these are his other guys.
Here's the thing. If you have Pitts, I don't know that you even need Kittle. I would offer something else. I would say, I like your Aaron Jones. I like your Kareem Hunt. But give me something else. I don't want Kittle. I have Kyle Pitts. I'm giving you Barkley and the tight end that is better than like 5 of the next tight ends put together. If you're really struggling, I want something other than Kittle. I can't use Kittle this week. I've hardly been able to use him this year. Use Pitts. Get a quarterback maybe because you're going to need one now. Jones and Hunt. That's the only way I do it. Otherwise, I'm fine holding on to Barkley, Kelsey, and plucking RB2 from here, there, or everywhere. Yeah.
I'm trying here.
No, you're fine. Every time you click on it, it's fine. You're being silent, but you're ready to go. We got you. Your connection's great. Barkley for Hunt and
Swift. Swift. Yep. That's, I guess, a part of the other question. I would probably do that better than the Kelsey move, to be honest with you.
Yes. I would do that before I did the other one. I love Barkley. I think he's only getting better and stronger. But Hunt and Swift, you're getting 2 for 1. It's getting you in your lineup each week. Unless Barkley and whoever you're playing is absolutely terrible, that's the only way I'm doing it. Because Barkley could outscore those 2 by the time the year's done by himself. Could. I don't think he will, but he could. I love Swift. He's going to catch 80 balls this year. He's just got to stay healthy. Hunt, we all know his situation. So it's like, are you playing Barkley and like Tevin Coleman? Is that your starting 2? Because if it is, then you might as well go Hunt and Swift. It depends on how terrible your RB2 is for me.
His RB2 looks like it's James Conner from the question before.
So it's pretty close to Tevin Coleman. Yeah, and you know what? I try and spice it up. I'd be like, here, take Barkley, take James Conner, give me Hunt, Swift, and somebody else.
All right. Robert T with the question. Cooks or Chase, 1 point PPR?
Brandon Cooks or Jamar Chase? I would play Chase because I don't like Cooks this week. I feel like they're going to take him out of the game. And he's the only show in town, really. Although they did trade for Jakeem Grant but then they cut Anthony Miller, which is weird after he scored a touchdown. Houston's just stupid. I would go Chase. There was a question here by Alan. He asked before if he thinks Gainwell will be a weekly start sometime soon. I don't know. I don't think that Sanders is dead. I think Gainwell's exactly what we thought Gainwell was. All right, go ahead.
All right, Antonio F with the question. Well, Russell Wilson going down. Guess only option is pick up Geno Smith on waivers. Brissett, Taysom Hill, Mills, Geno, and Locke.
Yeah, I said Mills just because he's the only one to be guaranteed starting. Brissett's no good because Tua's coming back next week. Hill would be a fine option, but Hill's on a bye next week. Geno only gets you until the bye week, and then you're going to need somebody week 9, and Locke's not even the starter. So your only option is Davis Mills, and it's not a great one. You need to make a trade.
All right. Derek H. with a question. I have Mixon and need one running back to start with Kamara. Do I roll with Mixon or start Eli Mitchell, Michael Carter, or P-Rye?
I think I'd go with Mitchell. I'd just fire him out there. Let's go.
All right. Robert T. with another question here. Pick one to start in PPR, Cooks, Myers, or Waddle.
I mean, it would be easy to say Cooks if they weren't playing the Patriots. I just think they're going to take him out. I mean, he does have the revenge game type thing. He played the 1 year with the Patriots, but that I think goes against him, actually, and not in his favor. I don't think the Patriots need to throw much, so that's why I can't say Myers, so I'm going to say Waddle.
I like it. Yeah. Waddle seems like that would be a pretty good – I mean, they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. I mean, they're going against Tampa Bay, who's just going to – that offense is going to have to click. I can see a lot of Waddle and a lot of Gesicki in the fourth quarter, especially if they're behind. All right. Spencer said the Redskins. I'm not sure what that was about. Good streaming D this week.
Yeah, just looking through them real quick. If my phone ever loads up, I mean, I feel like a lot of the defenses that would be good to use this week are defenses that are probably already rostered. I can't pull it up because I think it's just cycling. But I don't think I kind of like, I think it's going to be high scoring, but I kind of like the Cowboys. I kind of like the Panthers. Let's see how they look with CJ Henderson. But those teams are also probably rostered already. I'm not sure if there's a great streaming one. Maybe Minnesota. A lot of people dropped Minnesota going against Detroit. Like, they might be a pretty good one. That's probably about it. I'm not sure if Arizona is available, but they're going against Trey Lance, rookie's first start. Always a chance there. Maybe if you show us, Jeremy, make a post, show us who's available, and I'll take a look at the ones that are available and give you who I'd pick.
All right. Rob T. Yep, me too. I think he was talking about Kyler there, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, Chad. What's up, bud?
What's up, Chad?
All right. Would you start Damian over P. Ryan and Michael Carter? I'm going to go with your 100% yes.
Yes, 100%.
Sean with the question, do you think those trades I made in our league were crazy or good? Haha, too late anyways, but curious about your opinion.
I don't remember anything.
I'm not sure what the trades were to be.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing. I don't remember anything standing out that was ridiculous, so they must have been good. They must have been good. Both teams were good trades.
Herbert or Rojo? I'm assuming Khalil Herbert. I like that. Herbert. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Good way, Joe.
That's like with Ben Affleck and J-Lo. Didn't they have like a little cute little name? It's like he made the name there. You remember how they would always be like, oh, well, they're talking about celebrities like Benifer. Benifer, wasn't that what it was called? Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, they were called Benifer or something.
Benifer.
So that's kind of what he did there. He put it two
that
names
sounds
in,
right.
Whatever. I'm dating myself, I suppose. I think that let's go with what Rob.
Really, they're back together, aren't they?
Yeah. Rojo. Why not? Well, let's give him one more try. Maybe give me one more chance. Dating myself with that one. Although some young kids probably still do listen to Biggie. Are you frozen?
All right, Chad with one here. Williams, breakout, please. I think he's talking about Javonte.
Yeah.
Allen with, if Sutton is out, is Patrick a must start?
I don't know, because what I said, my gut feeling with that game was if I could avoid it, I would. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's a must start. Depends on your other options.
Target share should be there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing you got going for you is that if Sutton is out, it's going to be him and Fant and Javonte Williams are going to see the targets. I mean, Melvin Gordon could too, but if he's playing. When Fitz comes back, y'all think they'll bench Heineke if he has another great few weeks?
When Fitz comes back, something will happen, unfortunately, to Heineke, and Fitz will have to come in the game, and we'll win it with Fitz magic. That's what happens. That's what happens. They won't bench Heineke. Something will happen. Something will happen to Heineke. Fitz will have to come in and save the day. We see it every year. Rob froze. No, we don't drop Callaway in the 32-team league. Yes. Yes, we start Robinson over Chase. I'm trying to help you, Rob. Waddle, Callaway, or Hollywood Brown. Callaway's a shot in the dark. It's just a one. Callaway is the Hail Mary. This is the Hail Mary for Callaway. If you don't do it against this Washington secondary, who has been terrible, much worse than they should be, if he doesn't do it this week, you get rid of him, like I said. So it's a Hail Mary. Hollywood Brown is Monday Night Magic. Waddle will be needed, but has a terrible quarterback. I would go with Hollywood. Monday Night Magic. I'd go with Goddard, even though I like Hawkinson. I'd go with Goddard. I can't bench Goddard, even with the Ertz there. But I don't think you can go wrong here, John.
Do you hear me?
Yes. Perfect.
All right. Chad with the question. So is Robinson the Bears' Bobby Trees?
It's pretty much, yeah. Robbie Anderson's right in the boat with him, paddling along. Guys you drafted. I didn't like Robbie Anderson when the year began. Figured he was one trick pony. He's pretty much shown to be the same, but I do think that he shows up this week. These guys that you drafted because of their roles, their position, their potential, they're going to start popping up again, and people are going to be like, oh, I had him on the bench. And what's going to happen is if you don't play him this week, then you're going to play him next week, you're going to chase. Got to stop chasing, got to be proactive, got to be ahead of the curve.
All right, Antonio, with the question, are the Broncos a good option against Pittsburgh this week?
Yes and no.
The game to avoid.
This game could be in the 40s. This game could be in the low teens. Like I'm not going to make stuff up to make you feel good. This game, if it's not the main couple on each side, if I could avoid them, I would. I don't like this game from a wannabe analysis standpoint. It just don't have a good feel for it. I feel like it's two subpar offenses, two really good defenses. Could go either way. I'd like to avoid it. You're here. You know, you're acting like, I'm going to tell you this, Rob. I see it on your face. You're getting very angry, but I can hear every sound. You're not frozen. You're good. Roll with it. We got you. You're here.
You should hear what it sounds like on my side.
Yeah, but it sounds good over here, so you're good.
I'm about to break my computer, to be honest with you.
We're almost done.
Would you start Zeke and Paulo, 3 running backs and 2 flex?
It depends on your other options. But I wouldn't be against it if the rest is not that good.
Got some YouTube. Domo, should I trade Chuba and Jamar for Boyd and Chase Edmonds? I have Terry and Diggs with Michael Thomas in my IR spot. My running backs are Dalvin and CEH.
Listen, welcome. It's tough because getting rid of Chuba is not something that I'm against. Jamar, I think, is only going to get better. I love Boyd. Talked about him. You know, this might be your first time watching us, but from the jump, I think he's going to catch 100 balls this year. But I think it's kind of lateral between those two because I think Jamar Chase is going to have enough touchdowns to even it out. The problem you have going with getting Chase Edmonds is he's banged up right now. He's banged up, and Connor's stealing all that goal line work. It's not long until Connor's banged up, though. You also got Kyler's going to steal that goal line work as well. I feel like you're benefiting in the long run so long as CMC comes back and doesn't get hurt again. Could happen. I would probably make the trade. I feel like you're getting a more steady team. Boyd is going to give you consistent production each and every week. Sooner, I can't see Jamar catching a touchdown every game and having 17 when the season's over. It could happen. But I think you're getting more consistency with Boyd than Jamar, and you're getting more consistency with Chase because he's going to play every week. Chuba's not going to get any burn starting next week when CMC gets back, or not enough burn. So I would do it. It's okay.
All right. Since I'm playing Allen Robinson now, it sounds like, do I start OBJ or Boyd at wide receiver 3, half-point PPR?
I go with Boyd because everything I just told Domo. He's a PPR man, even if it's only half PPR. It's still him. And OBJ, the connection just isn't there until we see Baker throwing healthy and having that connection with OBJ. I got no problem throwing OBJ into my lineup. I got him in two of my 6 teams. But Boyd is a sure thing. He's a sure thing to get you 6 to 10 catches a week. Targets at least. 6 to 10 targets, especially against Green Bay this week. You're here, Rob.
Crazy, I know. Should I start drop Danny Dimes for Crowder, Rojo, or Gainwell? I know you like Gainwell.
I like all 3 of those guys, Chad. Nobody. I feel like I say this every show, Rob. Nobody likes Rojo more than me. Not even Rojo's mama. I love him. The problem is that Bruce Arians hates him. But I do think that Rob's onto something that he probably will see a little more burn this week. He's out of the doghouse. The problem is just the moment he fumbles another ball, he's out for 2 more weeks. So Crowder's injury. I mean, he's the bomb when he's out there, right? We love him. Always have for years now. And Gainwell, loved Gainwell. Gave you Gainwell's name before week 1 even happened. Told you he's somebody you want to target instead of these other running backs that people are going after. But he's still not the only show in town. Miles Sanders has not gone anywhere, and he's not going anywhere. If I wanted to pick up one, I'd pick up Gainwell. It depends on if you like having 2 QBs or 4 or 5 running backs. It's up to you.
Running backs are gold, man. I would try to see if I actually pick up both of those and see if you drop somebody else and trade, do 2-for-1ers. That's the kind of thing you should be looking for. Because Crowder's not a bad option either. Either, man. You're right. All right. Nurse Mindy, another YouTuber. Look, Cincinnati fan. Is that Andy Dalton? PPR, pick 2, Hilaire, Mike Davis, Murray. Then for flex, pick 1, Beasley or Galladay.
Yeah, Beasley, that we talked about, sort of a disappearing act, could be needed more so in this one. Dawson Knox has been picking up his targets. I think I'd go Galladay just because he is the best wide receiver that the Giants have. I know Slayton's coming back, and we love Kadarius Toney as their slot guy. But I'd go Galladay. He's a little bit more healthy, a little bit more commanding each and every week, and they're going to need him going against Dallas. Not to say that they won't need Beasley going against KC, but I'm going to go Galladay. And I just feel like KC is going to use McKinnon or somebody else on top of Hilaire this week. It's going to eat into him a little. But I know for a fact I'm going to put a stamp of almost guaranteed at 9:30 Eastern tomorrow morning. You're going to start to see the emergence of Wayne Gallman. Not sure if you're just joining us, Nurse Mindy, or if you caught us from the jump or watched us on Tuesday. Wayne Gallman's going to take over this backfield. I thought Mike Davis would score a couple cheap ones last week. He did not. Sometimes I'm a week ahead. Latavius Murray, we talked about Monday Night Magic is nice. But I feel like the reason Tyson was out last week was the team they're playing to give him a break to sort of watch from the sideline and see what Le'Veon still had to offer. So if I had to pick two, because that's what you're asking me to do, I'm going to go with CEH and I'm going to go with Murray. But please don't be too mad at me if Mike Davis does what I thought he would do last week and punches one at least, if not two, in. I'm going to go with CEH. I'm going to go with Murray. I'm going to go with the Sunday night and the Monday night Magic. Oh, for the best.
I like it. Hi, Chad.
Hey, Chad.
All right. Spencer, Trey Lance or Tannehill in my Superflex?
I don't think that Tennessee's going to have to throw the ball too much. They will if Trevor Lawrence did what I told him to do. I'll take my shot at Trey Lance. Yeah. I'll take my shot. I'll take my shot at Lance.
All right. Hey, Brad. Oh, all right. Another YouTuber. I like it.
So,
Ray the Gamer here. Standard scoring. Pick 2. Keenan Allen versus Browns. CEH versus Bills. Corey Davis versus Falcons. Marvin Jones versus Titans. Chenault versus Titans. Or T. Higgins versus Packers. No Alexander. Yeah. CH is risky.
That's right. He is. Good calls on both of those. You're 100% correct. As we said, I'm going Corey Davis against a terrible secondary. And I'm going to go Chenault. He's going to be needed against the Titans. The Titans, like I said, will more than likely run the ball and try and run the clock and should be able to do so with great success against Jacksonville. But Chenault's going to be needed. They're going to use him close. They're going to use him far. They're going to use him rushing. They're going to use him through the air. He's their best weapon. He's the jackknife. I like Keenan Allen, but I don't love him because of the matchup CEH we talked about. So I'm going to go with Davis. I'm going to go with Chenault, slightly over Jones.
All right, we're ready with another question here. Schultz versus Giants or Knox versus Chiefs in rain, possibly. Standard as well. He did mention that the opponent has Dak.
That's always this guy, Ray. You're my dude. I look at that same exact type of stuff. When I'm playing my opponents and I look and I see who their quarterback is or I see what their defense is and who I have. And in this situation, you would think that we could use Schultz, and then if Dak happens to throw a touchdown to Schultz, at least it doesn't hurt you as much. I'm not buying into the Schultz, Blake Jarwin scenario that's happening for the long run, because I feel like, I'm not sure if you were here, but I feel like that's just a byproduct of my boy Gallup not being in the lineup. And also the problem is they sort of eat into each other a little bit. I'm going to ride the hot hand, and I'm going to go with the Sunday Night Magic and just go with Knox. He's been hot. Josh Allen loves him. And really, at tight end, either one of these, all you're hoping for is 3 for 30 and a touchdown. That's it. And I think Knox gives you an equally good chance, but it's a night game, and it's versus a better offense. And let's face it, less options for the Bills than the Cowboys have.
All right, Antonio here with a question. Are the Cardinals a better option than the Broncos for a defense this week?
I don't hate the Cardinals because you're playing against a rookie quarterback. So, yeah, I would go for it. They're at home. Force them into a couple of mistakes. Why not?
All right, Chad with a question here. Danny Dimes' question is Javonte Williams, Madison, Jamal Williams, Pollard, and Mooney, Shepard, and Bateman on IR. Not liking my options of drop there. So he was mentioning dropping Danny Dimes for Rojo, Crowder, or Gainwell.
Yeah, I mean, Jamal would be the only one, really, for me. Unless I own Dalvin Cook. I mean, you can't do it this week because you got to use Madison this week. The Cook's out, but Once I own Cook, I've said all along there's no real reason to roster Madison, but 2 weeks out of the past three, if you don't have them, you're going to be able to use them. I guess you could drop Danny Dimes. Who's your quarterback? When's their bye? Just keep all these things in the back of your head or in the front of your head. Just know if I'm dropping my backup right now to pick up my RB4, 1, 2, 3, 4, RB5, I mean, that's
He
the
mentions
bench.
he has Cook as well.
Yeah, so RB7 because you probably have two starting. So you're picking up Gainwell to be your seventh running back. RBs are gold. I'm all for it. Just know in advance when your quarterback has a bye. Maybe even take a peek at their schedule. See if there's anything you might want to avoid. I don't even know who your starter is. Maybe they're someone who's an automatic start mostly every single week. Lamar's your QB. There you go. So he plays KC. So if you could drop him and pick him back up for that game, if you think you could pull that off in the next 2 weeks, you're going to want to do it week 7. Like after week 6, you're going to want to pick Danny Dimes back up. So start preparing about who I'm dropping. You don't want to wait because somebody else is going to be like, oh, there's a game where there's a lot of volume. I'm going to scoop this guy because I have somebody on bye week 8. You're not the only one. So if you're dropping them, you're putting them out there, just make sure. I know a lot of people are like, I don't even like holding 2 QBs. I have no problem with holding 2 QBs. Danny Dimes isn't the most amazing, beautiful specimen of a fantasy quarterback, but he's been doing pretty well. And if he's playing against Kansas City on Lamar's bye week, that's a pretty good option. Pretty good option.
Exactly why I picked him up. Just got him today.
Yeah, man. So hold on to him then. If you're picking up Gainwell and all your other bye weeks jive, do you really need Jamal Williams?
Yeah, good point.
It's like a half dozen in one hand, 6 in the other. Honestly.
All right, we've been going.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just talking. We can hear you, Rob.
We've been going 2+ hours here. As you guys can see, my frustration is at a level that you guys usually don't see out of me. I am going to be looking to sign off here soon, to be honest with you, because I can't hear half the stuff you're saying anyways. So,
Rob,
hope everybody else can.
All I said was good luck this week to you, to all of our viewers tonight. If you are somebody that's on YouTube and you're joining us for the first time, we do a show every Tuesday night. We do a show typically every Sunday morning, but because of the London game, we do it on Saturday night. So next week will also probably be Saturday night. There's another London game next week in week 6. And we have a Facebook group. If you're not on Facebook, that's okay. But if you are, this group, Answered by Guests, Fantasy Football Podcast and Advice. And as Rob just put up, YouTube, you know that, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. This is what we do. We're just 2 guys in the basement, and we give the advice that we can. And typically it's pretty good. And hopefully you play the guys that we have a strong feeling about this week, and you kick some butt, and you join us back next week. Tell your friends, but don't tell your league mates, right? Because then they know.
And don't forget this week's guesstimator, guys, Wayne Gallman.
We'll
be looking into that. Answered by Guests. Good luck, everybody. Enjoy the Jets game. I know I will be enjoying it with my sons. Guests, good luck, man.
Yeah, good luck, everybody. See ya.